Homicidal clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mill. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly but I ain't Lauren.
What is up, my people? Welcome to another episode of the Townie Sports Podcast. I am one of your 2 magnificent hosts for this evening, Sami, and I am, of course, alongside none other than the great Vic. Vic, how you doing, bro?
Hey, Sami, I'm doing great. I'm just, enjoying what was left of the Celtics postseason run. And hanging in there, I guess.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we gotta talk about this today, but I mean, that's really just how it goes, right? I mean, that's been really the big story this playoffs is the up and down of this Boston Celtics team and kind of what we have to endure. But all right, so before I get into the X's and O's and you and I kind of dive into statistics, I'm going to give you this moment now to sound off on the referees. Because I know that's been a big thing for you. So I'm like, you know what? Let's start off the episode. If you want to bash the referees, all of them with your gun, as we talk about.
Bang, bang.
So I'll let you sound off first before we kind of dive more into kind of why they really lost or why the Celtics are behind now 3-2.
I mean, the referees aren't all to blame, but I mean, the fact that Tony Brothers continues to get assignments here in the finals is mind-boggling to me. That man shouldn't be anywhere near a finals game. He's absolutely horrendous. It's either that or I don't know shit about fuck. And I think it has to do more with how bad Tony Brothers is at officiating. Mark Davis. I mean, honestly, the crew last night was fine, other than Tony Brothers. That man does not know how to officiate a game. He doesn't have the calm head. He doesn't know how to call it both ways. My issue with him is his inconsistency. If you call it one way on one end, you should call it the other way on the other end. Jordan Poole, for example, the Celtics I believe were up 1 at the time. Jordan Poole flops on an offensive foul. The next possession, you see Marcus Smart get pushed to the floor by Klay Thompson. And no whistle at all from Tony Brothers. So
and he was staring right at it. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. That being said, our biggest issue isn't the refs. It might be that we argue with the refs too much, honestly, and that our turnovers have been killing us. 18 turnovers last night, leading to however many points off turnovers for the Golden State Warriors. So. I'll let you go a little bit into dissecting what is wrong with the Celtics at this point, and if we think that they can crawl back out of this 3-2 hole that they dug themselves in.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, I just want to touch on, because it's been, about 2 weeks since we last talked. That was right after, I believe, Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So kind of we were fresh off that, really excited. We felt like we were a pretty good matchup. And so that first game, obviously, we haven't talked since then, but the Celtics steal one, right? We steal a big one in Game 1, 120-108. A pretty tremendous, and the reason why I want to kind of go about it like this, because then we can kind of talk about the ebbs and flows and look at kind of the trends, right? Some of the trends that we're seeing game to game. But in that first one, we steal one. We had the tremendous fourth quarter, despite having Steph Curry just go absolutely bananas or nuclear, as everybody was talking about pretty much all week, that he had 6 threes in the quarter, and they stole one. An incredible fourth quarter. I mean, you and I know, as well as a lot of the Celtics fans, that you leave a lot of our players open. I mean, Grant Williams, tremendous three-point shooter this year, somebody you've been eating crow on all year. Al Horford has just been looking like he's 28 years old right now, 26 years old in these playoffs, so he's been really good. Derek White found some sort of shooting stroke, at least in that game, and it carried over from the Heat series, right? So it wasn't a surprise to us. Granted, you and I knew, okay, that's not really sustainable, but when you have an off game from Tatum, quote-unquote off game from Tatum, Jaylen Brown was good. Everybody else really stepped up in that game. Then game 2, Warriors take it. Obviously, we knew splitting was perfect, right? Perfect position. Splitting that. Game 3 comes back to Boston, take the first one. And then in my opinion, that second one was really brutal. And remind me if I'm wrong. I think there was only one game in between game 3 and 4, or one day in between 3 and 4, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And it's only going to switch now. So it's going to be one game today. Obviously, we have a game tomorrow. But it's they're only going to have an extra day. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have a game on
Thursday.
So they're only going to take an extra day. So now it's every other. It's 2 days of rest in between the games. They only had the 1 day of rest in between the Boston's games because they weren't traveling. So now in between travel, will be 2 days.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
Because there was 2 days in between games 1 and 2, but then only one game in between, or 1 day in between 3 and 4. I don't know. Thought of that yesterday. I'm like, wow, that kind of kills momentum. Al Horford obviously usually likes a little more rest. Kind of requires probably a little more rest. Granted, affects both teams, but just seemed a little sketch to me. But anyway, besides the point. The Warriors take game 4. They kind of get the home court back, and then yesterday, tough loss, especially considering at one point in that third quarter, we kind of held the Warriors from kind of having one of their traditional third quarters, and we had what was looking like one of our responses to a third quarter, and looked pretty good until Jordan Poole hits that ridiculous half-court shot and kind of goes up by 1 going into the fourth quarter, and that's where we, for lack of a better term, shit our pants.
Yeah, and I mean, the Celtics gave up 22 points off turnovers last night, off 18 turnovers. We were super fortunate that the Golden State Warriors shot 22% from 3. They're not going to do that again. But it feels like every 3 that they made was extremely timely. You want to talk about the game for Tatum? Yeah, he did it. He filled up the box score, but he also filled up the turnovers. 4 turnovers, a minus 13 for the night last night. Al Horford was even worse with a minus 19, 9 points, 9 rebounds. My issue here, Sammy, was with Grant Williams and Derek White. Minus 13 for Derek White, minus 18 for Grant Williams. Grant only shot 1 3-pointer, and Derek White went 0 for 4 from the field. We cannot have our bench players in less than. We have to have one bench player with at least double figures. That's just the way our team's constructed. We can't. We rely on these guys too much. Derek White played 21 minutes and only put up 1 point. Our free throws killed us. We shot 67% as a team from the free throw line. We left 10 points on the free throw line, and lo and behold, it's a 10-point loss. That's inexcusable to me. This is a team that should be making their free throws, and we weren't this bad of a free throw shooting team in the regular season. But I just don't understand how you can miss 10 free throws in the game when Jayson Tatum goes 2 for 6 from the line, and I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me, Sammy. Really
I mean, you pointed it out perfectly. Actually, this is one stat that I just looked at when you mentioned it. You look at the bench points, the bench scoring. You have a 29-4 differential between Golden State's bench and our bench last night. That's like you mentioned. Like that's huge. Like if you're not getting 10 points from your bench, granted we know Tatum and Brown played 44 minutes apiece, but you gotta. Pritchard's good for 5 to 10 points. Grant Williams is usually good for 6 to 12. I mean, you when you don't have that on a night like yesterday, especially a game that was so tight for most of that third quarter, going into the fourth, that really leaves you left-handed. And then the turnovers, man. Like these are all fixable things, as I like to quote John Corrales. On his podcast, how he always mentions, these are such fixable things. And tell me if I'm wrong. I'm at a point now where I want to win the series. I obviously, diehard Celtics fan. I want to win a championship, but I have to also remember where I came from and understand, my ceiling this season was Eastern Conference Finals. Going into it, I was like, I want to make the Eastern Conference Finals. Anything more is a bonus. So, but it's just like when you see how your team is playing and how winnable these games are and what they're doing, it's just so frustrating.
Expectations have to change, Sammy. So, and our expectations have changed, to be honest with you. I think losing this series, even though our expectations at the beginning of the season were much, much, much different, there's no moral victories here. I'm not happy if we lose in the finals. I'm not. I think this is our chance because next year, who knows? We're not. Are we going to get a season like this out of Al Horford again? I don't know. Middleton, is he going to be? Because let's be honest, if Middleton's healthy, we're not here. We're not. The Celtics losing 7 to the Bucks probably. Honestly, we might have even lost.
If John Moran is healthy, we could be talking about the same thing on the other side, right?
Right, exactly. But honestly, I don't know. This was a good matchup for us that we're losing. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Gary Payton Jr. Gary Payton II had 15 points last game. That is an anomaly. That man does not score. I can't believe that we're down 3-2 to this team. I'll be completely honest with you. I know I believe I said Celtics in 6 or Celtics in 7 on our post Eastern Conference pod, but I really didn't believe that. I said that as a pessimist. I believe that this team could have won this series in 5 games, and I still believe that they could have won it in 5 games. The officiating game 2 was horrendous, in my opinion, some of the worst I've ever seen. Just absolutely bonkers what it was. And this series has been so weird where we'll see one team go up big in the first half, and then the next team, the team that's trailing, will usually make a big comeback, and then it's all down to whether that team that had the original lead can hold on to that lead in the fourth quarter. Typically the Celtics have been able to do that in the 2 games that they've won, and the Celtics have led, and I believe in every game that we've played against the Warriors so far. It's about the closing it out thing that's killing us. Even game 2, when we were getting shysted, I believe we led in that game at one point in the second quarter, and in the third quarter we were right there. I think it was like a 2-point game or something, and we lost by like a million. So I don't know if this was the 08 team. I would say there's no chance we lose in Boston. There's no chance we lose in the Garden. I don't think that team lost a game in the Garden, the 08 guys. And if KG, if there's ever been a rallying call for get KG to the Garden, it is now. Get KG in there. Get Bill Russell in there. Pay Bird whatever you need to pay him to get him in that in those courtside seats. Bring the legends back for this game. These young guys need the energy. They need the ghosts of Celtics past with them. They need Red with them in that building on Thursday night, or else it's curtains for the Celtics, guys. I mean, this team that had so much heart throughout the playoffs just didn't have heart in that fourth quarter in Golden State. I'll be honest. I started to get frustrated watching this team play because it reminded me of the team that lost in the regular season all these times.
Perfect. I'm so glad you brought it up because I'm kind of on the same page with you there, and I kind of wanted to bring this up, right? So we're looking at a team that went to 2 Game 7s back to back, essentially. We're looking at situations where we could not believe what this team pulled off in both of those series. I mean, we did. We knew what the team was capable of. I mean, we were looking at historical numbers for Giannis. We were looking at Jimmy Butler trying to will his team, and honestly, a team that's always been a pain for us. And we took them to 7 and came out with it. Did this team peak too early? Right? Like, is that a fair question? Like, did this team?
That's a great.
peak?
I mean, of course, it's a fair question, Sammy. But here's the thing: is every series that we've had, right, has led us to this moment, right? The Bucks series, the Celtics are down 3-2. What do? They win on the road. They win that third game. They come back winning Game 7. We've already won a Game 7 on the road against the Heat, a hostile crowd. I would say, the Heat fans aren't very much different from those Silicon Valley fans over there in San Francisco, buddy. I'll tell you. Now, if we're talking about Oracle and we're talking about the Oakland fans, then I'm worried. But I'm not worried about no San Francisco fans screaming Warriors. Warriors, whatever, man. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, you're looking at Jayson Tatum from a perspective too, where just comes off the All NBA, announcement. I just don't know what to make of him. I think yesterday, usually, you and I talk about this a lot. We love to dive into the stats, but you and I don't really like to take plus minus as like from the micro. Like we like to take it as a macro, full season, and you can kind of see their impact in a full entire season, every game, kind of all averages out. But I think yesterday was a really fair assessment. I was talking to somebody. I was like, because they were like, "Oh, you look at the box score, like you mentioned, pre-show. You look at the box score, and he kind of filled it up, and he had 27 points, and the team scored 94, so he had like a third." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's a lot of the timely errors. You got the 4 turnovers. You got 2 for 6 from the line, and overall, just having a minus 13 was in my opinion, a perfect assessment of kind of what Jayson Tatum did yesterday. Like, it's just, and he had the threes, right? He had those, I think, 2 or 3 threes in that third quarter to kind of bring some life, and then back-to-back turnovers, right? That led to points. So
and let's not focus too much on JT here, because let's be honest, he looked disinterested in the fourth quarter, which often makes me upset. But he did make a good run there at the end and brought us within striking distance. Jaylen Brown for me is definitely the what's it called when the scapegoat. Mm-hmm. For game 5 there. 0 for 5 from 3, unacceptable. Minus 19 in the box score, unacceptable. 5 turnovers, and 2 of them very costly turnovers back to back. And we've learned this about JB. When he drives into traffic, he will end up losing the ball. And other teams know this too. So they try and put him in these motions and have him. He's better when he's a set shooter, not dribbling, make your cuts, do your thing like that. But I hate when he drives to the basket into traffic, because he ultimately always loses the ball. I have never seen a player of his caliber have such horrible handles, because he's a great player, but his handles are god-awful. And Kurt, I hope your shoulder feels better, buddy.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because, you look at what JB is doing on one side of the court, but then you look at what Andrew Wiggins, and it's kind of like that's what JB should be right now, right? Like, Steph Curry, is going to get his. Didn't really get his yesterday. Was still a plus 15 for the game. Always felt like he was a huge impact. Granted, he had a lot of the attention. And I know there's a lot of onus going out, like, oh, should Andrew Wiggins win MVP? Fuck no. If the Warriors win, it should be Steph Curry, because without him on that freaking team, Andrew Wiggins is not doing shit. I don't care what anybody fucking says. So anyway.
We're never going to have another Curry 0 for 9 from 3 game, by the way.
I know. We couldn't win the stinker. We couldn't win the stinker.
And yeah, we shot 41% as a team from the field. Tatum actually had his best field goal percentage shooting game of the series, going 50%, and 5 for 9 from 3. But it was wasted. Again, like you said, everything was on time. Those Clay threes were on time. That Poole 3 was on time. Those JB turnovers, costly at that time. That's what, honestly, I feel like cost us the game, were those turnovers in the beginning and the smart tech that, you can argue about the tech all you want. It was bullshit, but, Tony Brothers, man, what are you going to say? Honestly, fuck that guy. I hate him. I hate him.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, the situation we're put in. I got to give a lot of kudos to Steve Kerr, Golden State Warriors. They are proving that they are a mature team. The 150 finals games or playoff games or whatever under pretty much their entire team's belt is showing. They're proving to be the more veteran team. They've been here. They know what to do. And it's just looking like the Celtics are just, too young or a little bit too early to this stage.
I hate that narrative. I mean, Tatum has already been to several Game 7s, right? He's playoff tested as well. He's been in the playoffs every single year he's been in the league. Same with JB. These guys are playoff tested. They're not too young. They've been in these big moments before. They should be able to perform. Tatum was in big games in the Olympics.
18 turnovers, and if you look at the average of losses, it's 17. It's right. 17.
And
they're stupid. It's not like they're turnovers that are like being super forceful. No, they're stupid turnovers. They're really dumb.
They're bad. They're full court passes for no reason. They're I don't understand. I mean, Marcus with the 4 turnovers, every single one of his turnovers was avoidable, in my opinion. Same with JB, to be honest with you. Just don't dribble into traffic. At least he got the ball stolen from him a few times. But they're not going to give you the call when you're driving in the lane, so stop driving into traffic. And I feel like
especially against this team.
And there was no ball movement in the fourth quarter, right? It was pretty much just ISO with Tatum. Tatum save us, and he tried his best. He did, but it just wasn't there. And at the end, you could tell his legs weren't there either. So
I thought they got away from the Jordan Poole ISOs. I don't know why. They were giving him a break. Jayson Tatum kept trying to go one-on-one with Andrew Wiggins, making Andrew Wiggins look like, I don't know, Gary Payton of old. You know what I mean? Like making him look like an absolute stud of a defender. It's like, can't we set some motions? Can't we keep bullying Jordan Poole? Because when we went up 5, I think it was 3 straight times we went up against Jordan Poole and make Kerr take that guy out like we did with Grayson Allen. Like it works. I just don't understand it. I don't know if it's Ime. I don't know if it's the players. I don't know. And I think it's a little bit of both because I saw it mouth a lot and it reminded me of you. There was a ton of times they kept panning after a turnover or a bad shot. They would pan to Ime and then he would be mouthing drive and kick, drive and kick, drive and kick. And they weren't doing it.
No. At some point your stars have to take initiative. Tatum only 4 assists this game, has been a great distributor this whole series. So, but to be honest with you, he had to do everything. The bench didn't help him. The team didn't help him. Marcus certainly didn't help him. And it wasn't a bad Marcus Smart game either. The turnovers were bad, but everything else was fine. Although I feel like he is getting gassed, chasing Curry around these screens and everything. I mean, some of these, I'm not going to get started on the moving screens, but I mean, Draymond is just, and then the line violations. Every time we take a free throw, they got a guy already in the paint before the ball is shot. I don't know if you were watching this, but I mean, they have guys that are just literally in the paint when we're shooting the free throw, and it makes no sense why it hasn't been called. And it hasn't been called once this entire postseason. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. The league needs to be better. But yes, the Celtics are at fault, but the league needs to be better.
Yeah. I had another point that I wanted to bring up. Shoot, forgot it. I think the one positive I will take from yesterday's game, and I think it relates to the 0 for 9, and I think it somewhat, there were open shots that they missed as well, so the 22.5 is definitely deflated from what it could have been for their three-point percentage. I thought we played a lot better blitzing up on a lot of those pick and rolls. That was tremendous. I saw us crawl back into the game because we might have gotten beaten on a pick and roll from a guy rolling to the hoop. But in my opinion, in a game like this, you'd rather that than Steph Curry go bananas or Clay get, crazy open threes. Clay got his, but I thought we did a lot better on those screen and rolls and things like that, defending them at least. So that was the one positive I took, and I hope that carries over. If that carries over into game, and this kind of leads us into kind of what needs to happen in Game 6. So if that carries over into Game 6 and the turnovers decrease, I think we can blow them out. But, what else do you think the Celtics have to do I mean, besides the refs. But hopefully we get Foster tomorrow, right?
Just turnovers. Get those turnovers down. Stop making stupid full court passes. I mean, what are we doing here? We need to get back to it. We need to be able to drive and kick without turning the ball over. We need to stop dribbling into traffic like Marcus Smart loves doing and Jaylen Brown loves doing. So, that's the easy thing for me, right?
Yeah. I think we need to stop attacking Andrew Wiggins. In certain cases, there's fine. Just stop doing it. Every time Jordan Poole is on the court, attack him every single time. I don't care. Like we did it with Marcus Smart. Then Marcus Smart got off the court. Kerr brought Poole back in. And Tatum should do it. Or Jaylen should do it. And then what you're seeing the team, the Warriors start to double. And that leaves a guy wide open. So we got to attack Jordan Poole a lot more.
And they're turning around and they were watching in the fourth quarter, basically just ball watching.
Yeah.
Oh, Tatum's got the ball. Let's all just watch him. There's no movement there.
None.
So there needs to be more movement on offense. We need to be able to. We can't just be standing around hoping Tatum makes a shot over Andrew Wiggins. We fell flat there. Tatum played 44 minutes. Jaylen Brown played 44 minutes. Marcus Smart played 40 minutes. I mean, those are high minutes for the guys that don't typically average those high up minutes. Usually they can get a spell from Grant Williams or Derek White where they didn't get it today, or last night. So, like I said, make free throws, avoid turnovers, and that's 22 points off turnovers, dude. That's easily fixable, right?
Cut that in half and we win that game.
Yeah, cut that in half and cut the missed free throws in half. We win that game.
Yeah, big time. What is your temperature right now? How are you feeling for Game 6? What's your percentage right now? Hopeful, not hopeful.
I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. But I'm not feeling great.
Yeah.
I don't feel great after Curry went 0 for 9. I can just see him just lighting it up.
Which I think is not terrible. If he's gonna get his, he's gonna get his. But I think we have to do a better job on Wiggins. We can't let them both go off, right? We can't let them both go off.
We can let them both go off. We just gotta, it can only be Wiggins. It can't be Clay. It can't be any of them. So it has to be. It can be 2 of them, but just don't let Clay go off. Then you know what I mean. Yeah. And don't let Gary Payton II have 15 points. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to touch on these NBA Finals, Vic?
That's it. That's it for me.
All right. Did you want to?
I don't want to talk about it anymore. Honestly, I almost just said let's not talk about it at all. But
so I know you said you wanted to touch on any of the off-season talk. Did you want to do that now? Or did you want to wait till after the finals?
Let's wait till after the finals.
Okay.
I don't really have much other than all those. Let's wait till after the finals.
Okay.
Well, have you seen the fake trades that are out there?
I have not yet. Give me some.
Donovan Mitchell with Jimmy Butler, Instagram post, and then I saw one that was like Rudy Gobert is available, but they want a star back and
I saw that
promising
one.
Player.
Yeah, I saw that one.
First round. Just a few cool things that could be around the corner. We'll see. Bradley Beal wants out. I saw so. The hot stove could be heating up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, especially if we lose, which I don't think we will. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win in 7. I like it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, good for you.
Yeah. But if we lose, it's going to be interesting to see what we can do because obviously, there's stuff to be done.
Of course. But, we still have Horford's contract for next year.
I know, which is more than it should have been because we made the finals.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But let's win the title, and then we'll be happy with paying him.
Yeah. All right, you wanted to get into. This is probably where we lose a lot of people and hopefully gain some soccer followers. But today we had the final day of the World Cup play-in games. Yesterday in particular was huge. Yesterday was 2 of the first 3, I believe. So you want to get into that? What happened yesterday in the Australia game, and I think the Wales game?
So I mean there was Wales, Ukraine. Wales obviously pulled out on top. Also, before we get into soccer talk, let me just give a shout out to the Lightning for making another finals appearance. We don't really talk NHL here. Honestly, I don't know much about it. All I know is that they're playing Colorado.
We need to.
Yeah, we'll talk about hockey later on. Just not tonight.
Yeah.
Because I don't know shit.
Yeah, huge shout out to the Lightning though. Huge shout out. Going for a three-peat, it's gonna be unheard of in a lot of sports. It's rare in a lot of sports. So, and especially in hockey, it's probably one of the toughest sports to actually do that in. So,
I love Kurt's comment here. They didn't let Ukraine win 0 class. I agree. I was actually scared of Ukraine. I was scared of Ukraine beating Wales and Ukraine being in the U.S.'s group because of that fact that Ukraine would have that on the back, on their thing.
Ukraine's team is not that bad though.
No, they're not bad. They're a good team.
It's a solid team.
But Wales did prevail, which I'm happy with, leaving the U.S. in a group now with themselves, England, as the aforementioned Wales, and Iran. Very winnable group for the U.S., if not at least making it out of it into the knockout stage by finishing in the top 2. So I like where we're at there. The bigger upset for me came yesterday where Peru fell to Australia in penalty kicks.
Brutal.
After a 0-0 draw led to penalty kicks. Devastating loss for Peru. I don't know that we'll see them back in World Cup contention for a while, but that puts Australia in a group with France, Denmark, and Tunisia. So Group D is now set in a group that you would think France and Denmark will win handily. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think the Socceroos have a chance to make it out of Group D and finish in the second slot there.
After the Euros, I love the way Denmark plays soccer, but Australia has a thing for upsetting a team. They were probably going to upset France, and that could make things really interesting.
Absolutely. And then we had the last qualifying game today. Interestingly enough, included one of my own CONCACAF teams, Costa Rica, winning their playoff against New Zealand. They were obviously the favorite there to win. But they got the job done with an early goal, ended up winning 1-0 against New Zealand, and they will be in a group now with, I believe it is, who is it? Germany, Spain, Japan, and themselves. So Group E is now set. I would say that's the closest thing that we have to a group of death. Maybe Argentina, Poland, and Mexico, but I mean, it doesn't get tougher than Germany, Spain, and Japan, in my opinion. Japan is a solid team.
Yeah, I'm looking through them right now because I've been looking through it for the last few weeks since the drawings, and trying to find what could potentially be a group of death. I think Group B is a tough one. U.S. pulled a tough one there. Group A seems.
Group B is tough.
Yeah, I think that's a tough draw.
I think you're overrating Wales and Iran.
I might be overrating Wales. I'm not necessarily overrating Iran. I know what they do. They do the same thing every year. They don't make wins easy. So they don't make wins easy.
I mean, Group H is pretty good too.
Yeah,
Portugal.
Group E is probably that. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is Group. I think it's Group E. Spain,
Group
Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan. Although Germany's kind of on a downturn. Spain as well. You'll never count them out, but I think they're more name right now than they are actual.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
They're
see.
Good. But yeah, so and then we had a friendly this past I think it was a few weeks ago. The U.S. played Morocco, and I don't have the score in front of me. Sammy, do you remember what the final was there?
I do.
Can you tell our listeners who might have not watched it? I forgot.
What was that? 3-0 USA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 3-0. And you talked your crap, and now you're eating crow because America is America, and we will stomp on inferior teams. Now, to be fair, Morocco is actually a world-class team. I don't believe that you guys had your full starting 11 out there, but you had some of your stars, right?
It was our defense. Our defense was starting, so.
Yeah. So how do you like Morocco's chances in Group F? That's another tough group, to be honest with you. Belgium, Croatia, Canada, and Morocco.
I didn't like it because of what we did in the African Cup. I thought going into the African Cup, I really liked our chances in it. I don't love the coach. There is some speculation now that he could potentially be on the out before the World Cup. They have a couple people in line, a lot of them local people. And honestly, the biggest reason is because our star player one of our two star players, so obviously Hakimi is probably one of the best right backs in the world. But Hakim Ziyech, who plays for Chelsea, was also part of the Chelsea team that won the Champions League last season, was apparently on the outs with the coach and has repeatedly told, even though Morocco kept reaching out, the federation kept reaching out, telling him to come, he refuses to play for Vahid Halilovic, or whatever his name is. He's Bosnian descent. And so you have Hakim Ziyech, who hasn't played for Morocco since before the African Cup and was actually part of the reason why they were so dominant in World Cup qualifying. You have Mazraoui, who actually just got a deal in Germany. I believe he will be playing for Bayern Munich next season. He was playing for Ajax, the same Ajax team that Ziyech was on, that were in the semifinals of the Champions League in 2018. So you're looking at like 3 or 4 guys that currently on the team that are world-class players that don't want to play for the country because of the coach. So that's why I'm kind of more on the outs, and those are 2 of those 3 guys are big-time scorers. I mean, Ziyech is so crucial. He's a traditional number 10. He's Morocco's number 10. There's nobody else that they've filled in. Boufal has been awesome. Boufal actually just tore his hamstring, so he's probably not looking likely to play in the World Cup, which is really, really unfortunate because he was another one that was really, really big part of why they were into the knockout stages of the African Cup, because Boufal is just so fast, so technical. Having him and Ziyech side by side would have been amazing, but he might not play. So with him out, I mean, and then obviously those 4 guys not playing for this coach, it's not looking likely. I'm not very confident. Originally, I would have told you we could beat at least Canada, but I'm not very confident.
And that, that's something else that's quite interesting there you mentioned. So obviously it's a strange World Cup year with the World Cup being in Qatar, and them deciding to actually have the World Cup in November. This is going to affect, I think, the World Cup greatly. As we both know, typical European soccer leagues start up in August and go through November. Obviously, this year they're going to take a break. We don't know how that break is going to work, if they're going to break before November, allowing teams to bring in their national clubs for the typical 2 weeks that you see before World Cup, where you have the 2 weeks of camp and then you have the World Cup, or if they're just going to go right into it. So I'm excited to see that. I think that's going to have a huge impact on the World Cup this year, and what stars are going to be in the World Cup. So I'm excited for that. I think we're going to have a great World Cup. Personally, the United States, I think we can at least get out of the group stage and win a knockout game or 2. Obviously, winning 2 knockout games would be the best the U.S. has done since like the 1930s or some shit. So I think they finished 3rd in like the 30s or something. But yeah, I would, you'd love to see it. So I have high hopes for this U.S. team. I still think they're young, so I wouldn't be surprised if they made it to the quarterfinals. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make it out of the group. Berhalter is the X factor for the United States. He's a piece of shit. but there's not much I can say. But before we go, because I don't know how much more we have to talk about today, but I do want to mention as far as my Townie takeaway here.
I do want to say this though, Vic, real quick. Watching the United States in the last couple weeks, just to get more familiar with kind of how they're setting the lineups, and then obviously them playing Morocco, I was extremely impressed with those kids. Extremely impressed with those young guys. Musa, obviously, way I knew. I'm a PSG fan, so obviously I knew the talent of Timothy Weah. But then there was the other kid. You could probably remind me his name. He's originally German, got his United States citizenship, and dude,
so
that
it was
kid
his first
nasty.
Game. It was his first game. He actually was a dual national. He just switched. I believe he's 19-something years old. And he has a brother as well. That's Timothy Tillman. That's going to be coming over. He plays they both play in the Bundesliga. Somebody that's really impressed me though, Sammy, is Luca De La Torre. I don't know how much you got to see him play, but that kid has the ball on a string on his feet. Mm-hmm. He's incredible creative midfielder there in the middle. Of course, Musa's been great. McKinney is getting his legs back still. You just still didn't even see a full team with Dest out.
Right.
This team can be very much more attacking with Dest in. My worry is that Berhalter doesn't see the issues that we have at the center back position, and he continues to play Aaron Long and Walker Zimmerman, who are neither are world-class caliber players. I love Walker Zimmerman. I think he has the tenacity. He has a great build, but on a world-class stage, he just isn't there. I think we need to give chances to John Brooks, who isn't even in camp. I guess him and Berhalter are at odds, so we're not going to be seeing him in camp. But Eric Palmer-Brown's one that I think should be getting a few looks. Cameron Carter-Vickers is another one. Now, the issue with Cameron Carter-Vickers for me is his size. He's not the typical 6-foot center back that you like to have there, knocking balls out of the air. But he's still a big, strong guy. I think he can give the U.S. a lot of depth in the center back position. The biggest loss for the U.S. is Miles Robinson, who was our first choice center back, ended up getting hurt. I don't know if he'll be back in time, but I sure as hell hope so. Anthony Robinson's fine there in the left back position. I think he's just fine. I'm just excited about this team. Now the thing I didn't want to take away from this is that one of the U.S. MNT keepers, Gaga Salonia, I think he's probably our third or fourth choice goalkeeper right now. He's 19 years old, but he apparently is going to get a move to Chelsea soon. And this is just another in a string of U.S. keepers that are going to Europe to be backups. And I don't understand why we're doing it. Zach Steffen was the first. You see Matt Turner doing the same thing. And then, of course, Ethan Horvath in Nottingham Forest. Although he may not be the backup in Nottingham now that they've been promoted. We'll see what happens. Those are honestly the three top choice goalkeepers are backups on their club teams, and that doesn't bode well for a successful World Cup team, in my opinion. I hope Gaga honestly stays in the MLS and turns down the offer, but honestly, I don't see that happening. I think he's going to end up in Chelsea. Hopefully, they send him away on a loan where he can get some starts, and who knows, he might be our starting keeper in the World Cup because none of our keepers fucking play. So, that's my rant. God bless you. Sammy, what else you got?
To kind of conclude that soccer segment, I know we have a lot of people in here that don't watch a lot of soccer, but I really, really encourage everybody to kind of take a look at this United States men's national team. From me being a big soccer fan, and after watching the USMNT and kind of having seen them in this development to get to this point has been, honestly, it's been tremendous, dude. Like it's been really, really good. And I think this is going to be one of the better teams that the U.S. is going to have out there as far as talent goes, right? As far as like paper talent. Right. I think these guys are really, really talented. I think in the past it's been more of they've been gritty, but now it's kind of getting to the point where the U.S. team is like, wow, these these kids can play. Like, these kids aren't just gritty. They're not just aggressive. They can play.
And I remember the time where we were excited about Julian Green because he was on Bayern Munich's B team.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, he plays for Bayern Munich B. Oh, shit. Clint Dempsey got signed by Fulham. Oh, my God. Oh, he's
mid to low tier Premier League.
Right, exactly. So, and now I'm bitching about our players that are being backups on world class clubs. But still, I think it's better to play whether you're playing in the MLS or you're playing, in the second division in England. I think playing time means so much more. So, I agree, Sammy. Though now we have guys that are starting in world class clubs all around the world. Serginho Dest. Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, who you could argue is one of the most important players on Juventus before he got hurt.
He is.
And there's more to come still. I mean, we got guys in the pipeline in Real Madrid, Barcelona. Timothy Weah plays. Had a good end of the season, but started off his club's season this year not so great. I think he's at Lille. Is he still at Lille?
Lille, yeah.
And Musa at Valencia. I mean, these are big time clubs, and that we have guys at. The future is good for the U.S. soccer. I've always wanted to see it in a place where we could just be competitive at a World Cup, and I think that we are going to be competitive. I'm not crazy enough to think that we're going to win a World Cup anytime soon, but I just want to be competitive. I want to make it to the knockout stage. I don't want people to be cheering when they have the United States in their group anymore, like the England newspaper were putting out. So I can't wait to stick it to the damn Brits.
That would be incredible. That would be incredible.
It wouldn't be the first time. First time. So God bless the United States men's national team. They're on tonight at 10 p.m. If you have ESPN Plus, tune in, show them your support. This is your men's national team, guys. This is America. So go ahead, go support. And yeah, just let's bring back some trophies.
Yeah, man. But all right, before we close it out, Vic, anything else you want to close out with?
No, I thank you for letting me have my soapbox on the World Cup.
It's awesome. It was awesome. I love it. But all right, with that being said, thank you everybody for tuning in. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram page at Townie_sports. Our TikTok page at Townie Sports Pod, all one word. And of course, you can find us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. here on YouTube, or every other week during the summertime. Once football gets back into play, we'll be back every week giving you all the ins and outs of the NFL. I can't wait to be doing some more baseball talk. Hopefully, once this Celtics debacle is over, yeah, man, we're gonna have some intense baseball talk. Hopefully, bring in some more baseball fans. But yeah, man. Thank you everybody for tuning in again. I'm Sammy alongside Vic. We're Townie Sports. See you guys later.
Hey, swag so mean, swag on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised cause I'm running to the money. Swag so mean, swag on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G clan stay blunted.